Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Anupama, Professor at Department of Economics, Punjabi University, Patiala. I am going to talk about the module Urbanization of Poverty and Urban Services from Population, Urbanization and Poverty. So students, we are going to discuss about the interrelationship of urbanization with poverty and access to basic urban amenities such as education and health services. The main objectives of this module are to examine the trends of urbanization of poverty, urbanization and basic services, urbanization and growth of slum population, urbanization and access to water, urbanization and access to sanitation facilities, urbanization and access to health services, urbanization and trends of malnutrition among children, and urbanization and access to skilled birth attendance. Historically, no country has been able to achieve significant economic growth without urbanization. Cities which are center of non-agricultural activities are also considered to have better economic status vis-a-vis rural areas, which depend mainly upon agriculture. Conversely, the process of urbanization in developing countries have been characterized by an emerging trend of increasing poverty in urban areas. And the poor make up a growing percentage of urban populations. However, on the positive side, it is also hoped that if the cities concentrate poverty, they also represent the best hope of escaping it. Until recently, rural settlements were considered to be the epicenter of poverty and human suffering. All measures of poverty, whether based on income, consumption, or expenditure, showed that rural poverty was deeper and more widespread than in cities. Urban centers, on the other hand, are expected to offer better access to health, education, basic infrastructure, information, knowledge, and opportunity. Poverty, however, is now increasing more rapidly in urban areas than in rural areas, but has received far less attention. Aggregate statistics hide deep inequalities and gloss over concentrations of harsh poverty within cities. Most assessments actually underestimate the scale and depth of urban poverty. Hundreds of millions live in poverty in the cities of low and middle income nations, and their numbers are sure to swell in the coming years. Over half of the population in most of the cities in developing countries is living below the poverty line, who do not have even the basic facilities of urban life. Lack of basic urban services or inadequate provision of these for ever-increasing urban population adds to their woes. Actually, the local governments of the urban areas in developing countries find themselves unable to cope with increasing demand for urban amenities along with rapid urbanization. Urban mismanagement often squanders urban advantages and the urban potential for poverty reduction. Thus, we can easily find an association among urbanization, poverty, and deteriorating quality of urban services. Now let us define urbanization of poverty. Urbanization of poverty means a rising share of the poor who live in urban areas. There is a seemingly widely held perception that recently poverty is urbanizing rapidly in the developing world. Indeed, some observers believe that poverty is now mainly an urban problem. Urban poverty stands neglected as there are no recent comparable estimates of the numbers of urban poor based on income. The last urban poverty estimates on basis of the income poverty line of US $1 and $2 are available for the year 2002. The table 1 shows that although the poverty rates have declined both for the rural and urban areas at $1 a day poverty line as well as $2 a day poverty line between 93 and 2002, yet this fall is sharper in rural areas as compared to the urban areas. This has led to an increase in urban share in total number of poor. The table shows that the share of urban areas in total number of poor living below $1 a day poverty line has increased from 18.5% in 1993 to 24.2% in 2002, while in case of the poor living below $2 a day has increased from 23.6% to 26.2% during the same period. Still, a greater proportion of the poor are living in rural areas, but it seems that poor are changing their locations from rural to urban areas along with general trends of urbanization of population. Actually, we have two contrasting trends. With urbanization, the poverty rates fall, showing that urbanization is an important tool to reduce poverty in a country. But on the other hand, we can also find that the share of urban areas in total poor population of the country also increases. The country level estimates show that as the rate of urbanization increases, the poverty rates fall, and the differences in rates of urbanization also depict the differences in decline in poverty rates. This can be observed from figure 1a, which shows that both the rural and urban poverty rates decline with urbanization, and even though the rural rates are still higher, we can observe the signs of convergence between the two. On the other hand, in figure 1b, we can see that the ratio of urban poor to that of the rural poor has been rising as urbanization increases. The situation of the urban poor differs from that of the poor in rural areas in several respects. The urban economy is primarily cash-based, and the urban poor spend a large share of their income on food, water, and energy, which makes them more vulnerable to price spikes. The cost of living in urban environments is thus higher. The urban poor have limited access to formal employment, face increased vulnerability to urban environmental hazards, and often lack a social support system. Slum dwellers live in overcrowded and unsanitary conditions and rarely benefit from security of tenure. Inadequate basic services seem to be the essential characteristic of poor urban neighborhoods. While poverty is a condition of deprivation, the income measure of poverty shows an incomplete picture. Therefore, in the recent past, there has been a broadening of definition and conceptualization of urban poverty, and the acknowledgement that income poverty is compounded by the problems associated with often awful living conditions. Nearly 900 million people are estimated to live in slums, a steadily growing number despite the fact that since 2000, over 200 million people are also estimated to have moved out of slum conditions. Accommodation, even in inadequate and overcrowded housing, takes up a disproportionate part of the poor's income. Many low-income settlements are in peripheral areas of cities, where it may be easier or more affordable to gain access to land, but where there are often limited employment opportunities and health and education services. This results in long travel times and high transport costs to reach the workplaces, schools, and clinics. Urban residents also have limited opportunities to grow their own food, and while dependence on purchase makes them more vulnerable to abrupt price increases. The poor typically pay more for their food as lack of storage facilities means that they cannot buy in bulk. And the poorest groups often have to rely on credit from local shopkeepers. The urban poor also often have to pay more for water. In informal settlements, access to piped water is limited, and residents must purchase from private vendors who often control standpipes. Many of them also do not have access to toilets. The lack of sanitation in high-density settlements increase the health risks. Inadequate drainage increases the risk of floods, and stagnant water encourages the breeding of parasites. Inadequate management of solid waste contributes to the degradation of local environment, with negative impacts on the health of the most vulnerable groups, such as children and older people. Thus, while analyzing urban poverty, those non-income dimensions must be taken care of. Now let us come to urbanization and the availability of basic services. Although the concept of urban services or services in general is very wide, but from the governance point of view, the urban services broadly include sanitation facilities, disposal of solid waste, drainage, water, security, electricity, housing, education, health, and many more. Access to safe water and sanitation is essential for health, security, livelihoods, and quality of life. Inadequate access to safe water and exposure to pathogens through the poor treatment of solid waste leads to adverse health consequences, particularly the diarrheal diseases. Diarrhea is responsible for an estimated 21% of under 5 mortality in developing countries, 2.5 million deaths per year, and over 4% of the world's disease burden. However, the developing world, particularly Asia and Africa, is lagging in water and sanitation coverage. Nearly 2.4 billion people are expected to remain without access to proper sanitation in 2050. While the problem of inadequate access to water and sanitation exists in both rural and urban areas, the problem is particularly pressing in cities. With internal migration and urbanization of poverty, the water, sanitation, and hygiene infrastructure of many cities is therefore stressed beyond current capacity, and infrastructure investments have not kept pace with rapid and unplanned urbanization. Therefore, here we shall focus upon the availability of these facilities along with urbanization of different regions of the world. There is an important link between urbanization and growth of slum population. Despite many opportunities and benefits, the urban areas are also known for generating inequalities, various forms of exclusion, and marginalization. Rapid, unplanned urbanization also contributes to urban poverty. In many low and middle income countries, the urban poor are most visible in large scale slums. Today, an estimated 900 million people live in slum conditions, representing around one-third of world's urban population. The vast majority of slums, more than 90%, are located in cities of developing countries. It is often the fastest growing cities that have the highest concentration of these informal settlements. Slum dwellers often experience difficult social and economic conditions that manifest different forms of deprivations. They live in overcrowded, poorly constructed housing, often with insecure land possessions. Reduced access to safe food and water, poor sanitation affect slum dwellers' health. Slums are home to a wide array of infectious diseases, including tuberculosis, hepatitis, dengue fever, pneumonia, cholera, and malaria, which spread very easily in highly concentrated populations. Despite the tremendous need, healthcare services are generally difficult to access in these areas. Slums are no longer just marginalized neighborhoods, housing in a relatively smaller proportion of urban population. In many regions, they are the dominant type of human settlements. This can be observed from Figure 2. This figure displays the proportion of city dwellers estimated to be living in slums in 1990 and 2010 for various regions of the world. In 2010, the highest slum prevalence is in sub-Saharan Africa, which was 62%, followed by Southern Asia, that is 35%, compared to less than one-third of urban residents in all other regions of the developing world. Despite the efforts of some cities and countries in sub-Saharan Africa to expand basic services and improve housing conditions in slum areas, inaction in other areas has prevented overall progress in the region. Until the proportion of population living in slum areas is not contained, the proportion of population vulnerable to poverty and poor health would remain quite high. Now let us discuss about urbanization and access to water. Availability of safe drinking water is most important need of rural as well as the urban masses. Whereas the rural areas have access to natural sources of water such as groundwater, canals, wells, ponds, etc., along with the public water supply systems, the individuals in urban areas depend solely upon the piped water or mobile or fixed water tanks. Piped household water connections are considered to be the most improved drinking water source, provided that these pipes are maintained properly and water quality is assured. Improvements in access to piped household water connections have been the main driver of progress in access to safe water. Globally, piped water coverage among urban households is much higher than in rural areas. However, substantial inequities exist between the richest and poorest urban residents in low and middle income countries of Africa, the Americas, and Asia. This can be observed from figure 3. The figure shows that the disparities are much wider than the other continents shown here. The access to water for richest is as high as 95% as compared to merely 45% for the poorest urban residents. In Asia, 75% of the richest and a little less than 45% of the poorest urban residents have access to water. Globally, the use of improved source of drinking water is high, with 87% of the world population and 84% of the people in developing regions getting their drinking water from such sources. Figure 4 shows that globally, the world is on track to achieve the Millennium Development Goal for water. In 1990, the proportion of the population without improved water was 23%, and in 2008, it was only 13%. However, figure 5 disaggregates the evolution of this indicator by region and highlights the regional inequalities in access to safe drinking water. The figure shows that some regions have already reached and exceeded this target for 2015. These regions are Eastern Asia, Southeastern Asia, Latin America, and the Caribbean. However, other regions are still far from the target, and it is unlikely that they will achieve it by 2050. In particular, the proportion of people with unimproved water in sub-Saharan Africa was 40% in 2008, while the target for 2015 is 26%. Africa has experienced some progress in this indicator since 1990, reducing by 11 percentage points the proportion of people without improved water. But the pace of improvements is very slow compared to the needs. 40% of sub-Saharan African population still uses unsafe water. Only 26 of the continent's 53 countries are currently on track to reach their targets. For urban, Asian and African population, though improved water sources are fairly common, yet the access to piped water is quite limited in sub-Saharan Africa, which was merely 35%, as compared to South Asia with 51%, Southeastern Asia with 52%. The availability and quality of water at improved access points varies greatly. Water from standpipes and kiosks, key sources of access for the poor, is not always available 24 hours a day. As a result, people, often the women, spend hours fetching water and must frequently adjust their work and rest schedules to get water. Intermittent services, which result in unreliable availability and inadequate volumes, often contaminated water, causes a large number of households to store water in household reservoirs and supplement piped water with water from tanker operators and water vendors. Similarly, we can have a look at access to sanitation facilities. Access to sanitation facilities is very crucial to the health of the urban poor. However, the improvements in sanitation facilities are not as impressive as in case of access to water. Sanitation coverage is especially low in cities. Such facilities are used by less than 2/3 of the world population. Goal 7 of Millennium Development Goals, which aims at environmental sustainability, includes halving by 2015 the proportion of people without access to improved sanitation and water facilities as measured in 1990. But figure 6 shows that during the period from 1990 to 2008, the proportion of the population using unimproved sanitation facilities decreased from 46% to 39%. The projected proportion for 2015 is 36%, far from the MDG target of 23%. There are great disparities across regions regarding sanitation coverage. Figure 7 shows the evolution of the proportion of population with unimproved sanitation facilities by the region, and the corresponding word MDG target under the assumption that it applies to every region. According to the figure, the regions that are farthest from the target are Sub-Saharan Africa, with an incidence of unimproved sanitation at 69% in 2008. The target is 37% for 2015. Southern Asia, with 65% in 2008 versus a target of 38%. Oceania, which has a target of 24%, but the actual value was 50%. And the Eastern Asia, with 44% in 2008, with a target of 29% in 2015. Only 3 countries in Sub-Saharan Africa are expected to reach the target of reducing by half the proportion of the population without sustainable access to basic sanitation by 2015. If we look at the distribution of urban population in sub-regions of Asia and Africa by type of sanitation facilities, it is found that Sub-Saharan Africa is the region with smallest proportion which has access to improved sanitation. It was 44%, followed by Southern Asia, which was 57%, and Eastern Asia with 61%. In those 3 regions, the second most popular type of facility is shared sanitation, between 20 to 30%. The proportion of urban population practicing open defecation is still high in Southern Asia, which is 14%, Sub-Saharan Africa 8%, Southeastern Asia 8%, and Eastern Asia 6%. Now we can discuss the linkages between urbanization and health services. Although the urban areas generally have better health facilities than the rural ones, but the availability and access does not ensure affordability and equitable utilization of health services. Many of the city dwellers, particularly the poor, experience inequalities or even exclusion from the available health services and health protection programs. Despite the relatively good health services in urban areas, the urban poor seem to have lower health status than their rural counterparts. This calls for a need to examine the intra-urban inequities and their implications for health. The urban poor suffer disproportionately from a wide range of diseases and health problems. Families with lowest income in urban areas are most at risk for adverse health outcomes, such as early childhood death. These disparities are again the widest in Africa, where the infant mortality rate is more than 140 per thousand live births among the poorest segments of the urban population, as compared to close to 70 per thousand for the richer counterpart. Thus, the mortality among the poorest children is nearly double than that of the children belonging to the richest sections. Another noteworthy point in this figure is that the under 5 mortality among the richest segment of urban population in Africa is higher than that registered by the poorest sections in Americas, which is less than 65 per thousand live births. In Asia, though the child mortality rate is lower than that of Africa, but the disparities between the richest and the poorest segments of urban population are equally glaring. A similar picture emerges from childhood malnutrition, which causes more than a third of all deaths during childhood. Globally, malnutrition among under 5 children is less common in urban areas compared with rural areas. Yet once again, these urban averages mask substantial differences within the cities. Figure 9 displays inequities in childhood malnutrition among urban populations in Africa, the Americas, and Asia. The results from 41 low and middle income countries for which data are available show that on an average, the prevalence of malnutrition among the poorest urban children is 3 times greater than among the richest urban children. In each region, large gaps exist between the poorest fifth and the richest fifth of urban populations. Similar differences can be found in case of malnutrition and anemia in urban poor adults. The poor women also have lower skilled birth attendance, which leads to increase in complications and even deaths during the delivery of a baby. In urban areas of 44 low and middle income countries for which data are available, skilled birth attendance varies from a low of less than 40% to a high of 100%. Figure 10 reveals that across the regions of Africa, the Americas, and Asia, large gaps exist in skilled birth attendance between the richest and the poorest urban residents. So students, let us summarize what we have learned in this module. In the last 3 decades, the population growth in urban areas of developing countries was 3 times that in rural areas, and the world has witnessed rapid waves of urbanization whose center points can be found in the developing region. However, at the same time, the world is also witnessing urbanization of poverty. As a proportion of the urban areas, in total poor population is also increasing. With rapid and unmanageable urbanization in many cities, water, sanitation, and hygiene infrastructure is stressed beyond current capacity. And infrastructure investment has not kept pace with it, leading to severe scarcities for the urban poor. Despite recognizing the fact that access to safe water and sanitation is essential for health, security, livelihood, and quality of life, the developing world, particularly Asia and Africa, is lagging behind in water and even more so in sanitation and health coverage. Most of the MDGs in this regard also seem difficult to achieve by 2015 for the developing economies. Since the lack of access to basic urban services may further accentuate the problem of poverty and inequality in these economies, there is a need that its coverage should be extended to the urban poor by easing the procedures and the formalities. Innovative ways to extend the urban services with due attention to sustainable finances as well as the quality of the services should be found and implemented. For this purpose, any institutional constraint should be removed at the earliest. The local bodies and non-profit civil society groups should be involved in fulfilling the national goals. The involvement of these grassroots organizations is very necessary to make any program inclusive because the organizations have direct touch with the targeted beneficiaries. Therefore, the possibilities of leakages are minimized and urbanization of public funds for a specific target is maximized. Multiple strategies can be used to address urban inequities in access to basic services. Three main approaches are targeting disadvantaged population groups or social clauses, narrowing the achievement gap, and reducing inequities throughout the whole population. Whatever may be the case, each strategy should be feasible and sustainable given the amount of resources with urban governments. That's all with today's lecture. I hope you must have enjoyed this lecture. Thank you.